is Tuesday, November 4th, and this is going to just be kind of a breakdown of what I was looking at during market today. I did not take any trades. I did have a calc test, which kind of interfered with market open, but I did finish that around, 8:45. So I was able to kind of still look at the move that we made for the day. Anyways, coming into market open, we can see that the S&P is definitely farther down than NASDAQ is. We'll see how that comes into play later. We could possibly make a very high time from SMT. Anyways, NASDAQ was filling in this gap this morning while ES had already inversed it. So that was just something to look at. Didn't really know, what would be the result of that. But overall, we were pretty extended going down, and then we got our little retracement during London session, and then you can also see that we also continued that a little bit during New York session, but we'll bring that into play later. If we look at the draws and liquidity, we mainly consolidated a decent amount in London session, which means we're probably going to look for a little manipulation and then an extension during New York, which is exactly what we got. So if we look at the areas that I had marked out would be these highs, a bunch of low resistance highs stacked up here, and then we have these draws down here. And if we look, this is mainly the reason why I didn't target super high. We'll get into it later, but why I didn't target super high highs, and that's mainly because they weren't very strong lows. You know what I mean? They were technically low resistance liquidity because we do have highs stacked up, but they weren't very big highs. It's almost, some of them are only even 1 minute highs or 5 minute highs, so not a whole lot. But if we look on both indexes, that was kind of the trade that ended up playing out, and kind of what my bias was for the day was just, sweep something out to the downside, get a decent retracement, and move higher. And as you can see, we didn't really get a decent retracement on either of the indexes. So if we look, ES was definitely moving. We'll look at the 1 minute. ES was definitely moving better and faster than NASDAQ, because if you can see, it's just cleaner up trends. And then we had this decent retracement where we got a break of structure on both indexes, and overall ES just looked better, and it was the one that was higher up, whereas NASDAQ wasn't taking out these highs, whereas ES was super close to taking out those highs. So that's kind of the one I was looking at. But as we're all the way up here, for us to even get a decent trade, which would have meant targeting these as our, pretty much maximum take profits. Yes, we could have definitely put it here or here, even all the way up to here. But that's just not something. I think if I was actually going to seriously take the trade, I would have put this put the take profit up here, and that wouldn't have given us a bad risk reward. But when looking at it, even to get this high, it's a 0.6 risk reward, which is not good. So that's overall why I wasn't super inclined to take the trade today. But I was definitely looking at it and definitely, understanding why we're making this move. So overall, it's just kind of if I wouldn't have been taking a test, it would have played out a lot differently, I feel. But overall, I'm content with the day. My bias was definitely correct, and it's just not the best place or best, I guess, price action retracement, whatever the heck you want to call it, to take a trade off of this. We didn't get a super clean 5 minute retracement. Really, all we got was that 1 minute break of structure, which technically counts as a 5 minute retracement. But then this strong bullish candle after it was pretty much taking out these highs as we would have entered. So there's just not too much for us to capitalize on. And yes, obviously we did move all the way up here, but you can never know that. You can never know what we're going to do. We very easily could have swept up these highs and then made an SMT to the downside. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what the rest of the week brings, but overall today's bias was correct and I'm content with that.